It's the Del City Coaches Show with Coach Mike Dunn, Coach Jason Madonna, and your host, Cody Sparks. The Del City Coaches Show is brought to you by Gregory's Sporting Goods, Redline Jiu-Jitsu, Nightfall Haunted Territory, and the American Broadcasting School.
Hello and welcome to Del City Eagle Vision's Del City Eagles Head Coaches Show with Mike Dunn. I'm Cody Sparks, and joined today by offensive line coach Jason Madonna, and of course our director of operations keeping the show running, the Dr. Brad Reed, on the other side of the technicality. So we appreciate him for that. Mentioned we are doing the Coaches Show. We actually have multiple coaches, so instead of apostrophe S, we could do the ES today, and that's fun. Yeah, see, English.
There you go, grammar.
Yeah, public schools. Grammar. Got that. All right, we are on Altus week now. We'll be talking about the Bulldogs coming to town here soon. Do you want to recap this weekend's previous weekend's game of Midwest City? The Bombers got the best of us, 41-6 there, Coach. But there were a few bright spots.
There was.
We certainly want to mention our man Tyus Mesner. He was our Gregory's Get Her Done player of the game. So thanks to Gregory Sporting Goods for that. But first off, before even the game got started, Harley Kelton, Xavier Turner, Anthony Goodlow, Isaac Beverly, your captains for the game.
Yep.
Now, are we switching captains, or are they locked in for the season? How do you work that now?
No, we've been switching every single week. We've kept Isaac and Anthony out there for every game, and then we switch the seniors. So we'll go through. We've got 16 seniors. We'll go through and we'll pick different seniors every week. I don't even know that we'll have Isaac and Anthony do all of them, but we're just kind of giving every guys that we think have deserved a chance to go out there and lead us onto the field. Guys that put in the work this summer, guys that put in the work since we got here in April, and everybody we've picked has been a guy that has bought in, that has jumped on board, hadn't asked many questions about why are we doing this, why are we doing all this crazy stuff. They've just been guys that have bought into what we're doing. So we're trying to reward those guys that have done good for us. Great.
Now, Harley Kelton, is he one of your do you have a handle in some of his work?
Yes, he's a center for us.
Okay.
Big kid, big body, senior. He played last year. He's got good experience. He's a good leader for us up front.
Great. Now we know Xavier, also student council president, and I did notice Isaac. You got to use him more in the direct snap.
We've got a Wildcat package that we've showed it before, and it just at that time it was a good spark for us. We were down on the 3-yard line. They pinned us down pretty deep, and he got us out of a hole there. I think he had 5 carries for 35 yards just right there off the bat.
Right.
So dug us out. We went to him a little bit later on. We actually scored. Our one score was out of our Wildcat package with Isaac. So that gives us a big boost. He's a threat back there. Anytime you can get the ball in one of your guys' hands, it's usually a good thing, and that's kind of why we did that. So
definitely don't give Isaac very much space. He'll take advantage of it. Some of the things, though, at least I happen to notice, kind of the maybe getting the pass protection you needed early was a bit of a challenge, and you maybe having to switch more to the run game, and not really to keep the also with the time of possession that Midwest City had, keeping your defense out there. So
that we knew there was going to be some struggles there with our 2 running backs being banged up, and so Tyus, that was definitely the bright spot that we saw after the game, was that we did find a guy that we feel like can be an every down back for us. He'll still play a little bit on defense, but his role on defense was basically the 5th DB. He was coming in, he's kind of our nickel DB, and so to find a guy that can play every snap on offense if we need him to was pretty good. I think that's going to help us with our depth going into district play when these games really start mattering and counting. We want to win all of them, but now it's to a point where it affects you on a state level.
You have to get it done.
Sure.
The Tyus, speaking of those who didn't get to see the game in person, he took some hits from the big old boys in Midwest City that they'd leave you questioning if you want to play football anymore, and he popped right back up, not a scratch dent or mark on him, and just kept plugging forward. And so and not the biggest cat out there, but he's quick.
He's quick and he runs hard. I mean, that's the thing that and I always thought he'd be that type of running back, because he is a tough kid. But, we saw it in practice this week. We all were saying, man, this guy could be pretty good. He could be something special back there if he'll just do it, and he went out in the game and he kind of showed what we thought that he could do. So it was good to see.
And coming into practice, I know you'd been slowed up a little bit in the backfield with O'Shea and things being down. But had he carried much in practice before this last week?
No, not much at all.
Just in individual sessions, group sessions, not much in team sessions at all.
Yeah.
Wow. That's remarkable. He came out and
Sure.
Did he have nearly 100 yards, somewhere in there?
Yeah, somewhere right at 100. I think we rushed as a team. We went for about 160.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he had about 100 of it. His brother is also in the backfield with him. So Taylor.
That was the other confusing thing going on there. I was like, Mesner on the wait,
Which
Taylor?
Mesner? Yeah. What's crazy is Taylor's had, you talk about practice, but Taylor has been the one that has had way more carries in practice than Tyus, just because, we rotate him a little bit more, and he had started from day one at the position. Tyus, we moved him around a little bit, and he just didn't have as much of a role, but Taylor had a lot more reps in practice, so really it was kind of switch the roles. But it's a good package to have both those guys in at the same time. They both kind of play off each other, and that was a bright spot. That was a formation we found that was good for us. So,
but we can confirm they're brothers, because that was kind of the running joke.
Yes.
Mesner and Mesner, no relation.
Definitely brothers.
All right, definitely brothers. And some other things I noticed. Defensively for Midwest City, they had a guy named Morgan Moore whose biceps, I'm pretty sure, are bigger than my head. I could see them from the press box quite clearly. Good-sized kid there. Also, the corner they had, Claudio Irvin, he seemed to be quite the speedster and pretty talented guys.
Yep.
Midwest City not short on talent. I know they're a class up, but how do you prep for that?
Well, we didn't really change much of how we prepare. We prepare every week for, a team that's that good. Even when we play teams that we feel like we're better than them, we're never going to let our kids know that. We're always going to prepare the same no matter what. We did have things in place to try to slow down some of their players. Number 6, Jalen Redmond, is a big kid. He's committed to Oklahoma. We knew we had to have a plan for him, and for the most part, we did pretty well. We busted some things. Even we're supposed to have 2 guys on him, and we busted it. So we had a plan, and we knew who we wanted to attack, and we just didn't we never really got into a rhythm. We had a couple long drives. We moved the ball well at times, but we would stall out, and it was crazy because you look at it, and in the third quarter, we go out on defense the very first of the half, get a stop, get the ball back on the 3-yard line, and we drive almost 90 yards and stall out, but it was an 8-minute drive. But at the end of the third quarter, you look at it, it's still 21-6.
Yeah.
We're still in the game, but that's when we had a couple bad things happen. We had a third and long, and we give up the corner route. 4th and 12, quarterback runs for 13 yards.
Yeah.
We missed 3 or 4 tackles. So then they score. Then the next possession, I think, is when we throw the backwards pass. And our kids stand there and look at it, and they pick it up and take it in. So at that point, at that point, it was kind of the wheels fell off a little bit. I was proud that our kids didn't fall apart. The game kind of fell apart on us, but our kids never did. They kept fighting. They kept doing things like we wanted them to. So I was proud of that.
Now, going in there towards, say, the fourth quarter, it kind of looked like, hey, we're gonna concentrate on the run, get out of here. Our possession time may not be there to come back on it. Maybe get out of here without the injuries. I did notice, I'm not a coach by any means, but Midwest City liked to run it to the sideline a lot there. Maybe conserve some of that clock and then throw it deep.
Yeah. They had a good game plan. The way they attacked us. So, and it's a numbers game. It always is. Anybody calls offense knows it's a numbers game, and you can't defend everything perfect. And that's what we always say. There's going to be situations where one-on-one, we got to win the one-on-one battles. And the other night they won them. That was the thing. Their athletes made plays, and our kids, we weren't in bad shape. There was a couple times in coverage where they got behind us, but we were still fighting, and we were still trying to make plays, and they just made more. So, that credit to them. They're a good football team. I don't think they're going to lose very many games.
No,
they're going to have a chance to go win it all in their classification. And it's good for Middale. They're our rival, but that game's over now. So I wish them all the best in the world. We're all friends with those guys. Our kids are all friends with theirs. So you hate to do it. You hate that they're going to have bragging rights over you, but we're both going for something more than just
they'll be next season.
We're both trying to win a state championship right now, and I guarantee you they're not thinking about us at all anymore, and we're not thinking about them. So
this is true.
Sure.
So moving on again, we want to mention Tyus Mesner, our Gregory Sporting Goods Dunn player of the game, and just a big talent from him.
Sure.
The few of the things there we on. Let's see, and Jared didn't get necessarily. it seemed like he was pressed a lot there.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily have time to set up the passes.
Sure.
Some, weren't. I think if give him a little more time, he wouldn't have been as pressed to get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
But overall, there, how did you feel about him getting out there and handling the situation?
Well, there wasn't any freak out. I guess coaches, what we always say, we don't want our athletes to freak out, and that was never there. You could tell he was frustrated that he didn't have a whole lot of time to get the ball out, and when he did, he didn't make the throws that I think he wanted to make. We tried to check something. He tried to check us into a better play in his eyes, and that's when we threw one of the interceptions. But as far as him going out and leading, being the quarterback, he still did that just fine. There wasn't any bickering or there wasn't fighting amongst each other. And you could see, there's times where, I don't care where you're at, any team, you get in a situation against your rival and you get down like we got down, but there wasn't, our kids just kept going out fighting. I always tell them to be businesslike, and you, as part of a business, part of a team, there's no room for infighting, And so, our kids kept their head about them, after the game. Obviously we're disappointed, but handled everything, like a team that's going to go out and play the next week. Sun comes up in the morning, and you get ready for the next one. So.
There you go. And the next one being Altus, the Bulldogs coming to town. Now, Jason, what? Now you do more offensive line, correct?
Correct.
I've seen some of Altus. They do a lot of motion and running and stuff, where they pitch the ball and option ball. It goes everywhere. Where is there some things where you might say, okay, here's the kind of offensive blocking that you're going to see when you play that, where you might have something to interject, as opposed to you're not actually, coaching any defense, but you can tell blocking schemes and stuff like that.
Right. My biggest responsibility to help us prepare for Altus is make sure our scout team gives us the best look possible. Because when you play an offense like that, the speed level from how they execute it to what you see in practice can be a killer if you don't bring the right look. So that's kind of my role in helping us defend their offense, is to make sure our scout look is the best possible, and that includes getting our offensive line to give the same look that they're going to see on Friday night, and to make sure that our quarterback makes the reads that they're preparing to make, and that we execute their offense against our defense in practice, so they're prepared Friday night.
The more you see of it, the better chance you have.
Sure.
I believe Vargas, maybe the quarterback down there in Altus, big kid and salty.
The dad's a head coach, so
that doesn't hurt, does it?
Anytime you play a kid who's a coach's kid, they know the game, they love it, they got passion for it. This kid's a quarterback, but he also starts on their defense too. So you don't see that very often. So he's a football player. And that's the thing. You're getting into a game, and it's going to be a 4-quarter battle, like all of our games. And they got a guy over there that's a field general. That he knows the game. So, you want to neutralize that and try to get after as much as possible. Give them different looks. Don't let them just have the same reads all the time. And switch up what you're doing. And I think we've got a good game plan for it. A lot of people are always, you get the flexbone week, and people are, because it is just like Coach Madonna said. It's hard to get a good look at it. It's hard to get it figured out in a week on your scout look. Yeah. So we had our first day of it yesterday, and we were out of school, so we had a little bit more time to kind of prepare it. And I think it was pretty good for the first day. But usually you get into these weeks by Wednesday, it's usually a decent look. So hopefully, we've got one of our best athletes, young athletes, playing the quarterback position. So he's kind of the Vargas kid for us in preparation, and I think we'll get a good look at it by the end of the week.
And when they spread out there, and almost like it's an H-back, or what do y'all call the position that kind of lines up behind the tight end or the slot? The slot.
Yeah,
okay.
we call those their slots.
Okay.
I can't remember what they call it actually in the offense. The A-backs, I think is what they call them. But in Flexbone, they have the name for those guys. Like the one that's right behind the quarterback, he's the B-back. I think the slots, they call them A-backs. We just call them their slots. Okay. And we call the fullback, the B-back, we call them the fullback. So our kids don't, they don't know any different. Okay. They know it's Flexbone offense. They've seen it the last few years, and they get excited about it kind of like we do. It's another challenge. Something different you got to look at, and you're always trying to perfect what you do as a coach and as a player, and this is one of those chances to play that offense again and get a good look at it.
And they've not been a stranger to scoring points the last couple of games. And I may have jotted that down there, but they've played Vernon,
Texas. Yeah.
Clinton they played first, 19-0. Then Vernon headed down to Vernon, Texas, 40-18, and Altus wins that one. And then took on Elk City.
Yep.
The Elks. I tell you what, if y'all ever get out that way, there's a place called Simon's Catch just past Elk City on this little road down towards Mangum, and it's all you can eat catfish. And
there you go.
It's only open Friday and Saturday, but it's good.
Check it out.
Oh man, you won't leave. You'll be there for like 3 hours. But they got up on Elk City 65-20. So certainly a high impact offense.
Yep.
And a lot of it, I guess, you're having to get lateral. Is there specific sets, or can you change up some things like that with your secondary to move your speed around?
Yeah. It's just it's responsibilities. It's option football, so you can't have guys trying to do too much. You've got to do your job. You can't try to make up for somebody else's missed assignment. It's assignment football. So if you're on the pitch, you better get to the pitch. If you're on the pitch, you don't go play the quarterback and then go to the pitch. You go to the pitch. And so. We'll have somebody ready for dive. We'll have somebody ready for quarterback. We'll have somebody ready for pitch. I mean, it's triple option.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those weeks. You got to be disciplined. You got to practice it. You got to get lots of reps at it. And you can't fall asleep. That's the thing. That's where they get people is if you watch their games, their touchdown passes, there's no one within 10, 15 yards, people running wide open because what they do is they run, lull you to sleep, and then they'll go over the top. And, you got a safety up there running and looking behind that ball going over his head. So, you can't fall asleep. You got to play assignment football every play.
Now, in that, what are you want to, obviously they're going to try to keep a hold of the ball because they're going to be on the ground more.
Yep.
Do you try to maybe balance out more running to keep the ball out of their hands, or go more of that up tempo or just try to mix it up?
First downs.
Yeah, gotta get first downs. No consecutive 3-and-outs. No 3-and-outs. Got to take care of the football. No turnovers. You don't want to put their offense in good situations. You don't want to give them great field position. So you want to control the line of scrimmage for us. Build upon the running game that we found against Midwest City, and then be able to get our athletes the ball in space and make them defend us too.
And now, when this week you've kind of, hey, we're going to have Tyus and Taylor again in the backfield, and do you have some other people you're working in, or is it? And then when you do that, are you able to kind of work with him more on where the blocking is going to set and where the hole is going to be, or the tempo? Because it takes a second or two to get a block set and the hole open. So that time that it takes for a running back to get the handoff, to get to the line, obviously a lot of that's tempo with the game and repetition. But how much of that makes a difference, with your offensive lineman getting used to the running back?
It makes a big difference. But the big thing is the running back understanding where his lanes are going to be. We'll see a different defensive front than we've seen the past couple weeks this week. So the cuts will be a little bit different. The aiming points will be a little bit different. And that's the biggest thing that we have to shore up this week. But I think one thing he does a really good job of is he sees it and accelerates through the hole, because it's never blocked perfect.
Yeah.
It's never blocked perfect, and the holes aren't there forever. And that's one thing that Tyus does a really good job of. Taylor, too, is when they see it, they accelerate through the hole fast, and they make the proper cut, and that helps. And that helps the offensive lineman, too, because if you don't have a perfect block but we still gain 15 yards, that helps build your confidence for the next one, and you continue to get better throughout the game as well.
And now, is there, in blocking, I mean, most people aren't getting down in a 4-point stance these days, but is there, what's kind of the main technique that you teach, like when you put your hand down and those kind of things?
Right, so in our stance, for 3-point stance, so we're just one hand's down, so our other hand's ready to strike. And the biggest key is pad level and footwork. And especially high school football. Low man wins, it's a common saying. And also, whoever stops their feet first loses, pretty much. And so if we focus on those things and continue to get better at those throughout the week, throughout the season, we'll continue to get better as an offense.
Great. Now, we should mention that Coach Madonna here was originally a New Yorker, and by way of the parents in Air Force, relocated here to Middale, went to Carl Albert High School, then on to Bethel College up in Kansas, and you were head coach at Bethel High School for the last 4 years before you got talked into coming and joining Mike down here.
That's correct, yeah. I had the opportunity to become a head coach at a rebuilding program, and I took that, learned some very valuable lessons, met some great people. But then when I had the opportunity to come back home to Middale, my wife's a teacher in Middale. My daughter goes to school in Middale at the VOTEC at their New Beginnings program. So it was a great opportunity for me to come back home. A lot of the same people I worked with in Middale prior to going to Bethel are still here, and so it was a real comfort coming back.
And I know homecoming for you as well, coming back from Texas.
Yep.
And I've visited with Coach Dunn a number of times about your mom and dad still very active in the school district and things. And obviously you're connected as well with having a wife in it and everything too. That's great. So a lot of investment here going on. We talked a little bit about Altus's offense. Obviously, you said we'll get some different looks defensively from them. What kind of thing do they do defensively that might be different?
Well, we played 3-4 teams. They're more of a four-man front. They're a 4-3 defense. Coverages are pretty similar to what we've been seeing, but it's different when you put an offensive line. When you give them a different look, obviously you got to practice a little bit different. You've got to talk to them about the aiming points. You got to talk to them about where your double teams are coming from. I mean, it changes things a little bit. We've got base rules that we use, but you got to show them, look, here's your base rules. Trust them, use them, but here's where they're going to be aligned. So it makes it just a little bit different. But our blocking schemes, we try to keep it simple, just to allow those guys to play fast and play tough and be aggressive. Let those guys back behind them do the athletic stuff. Make them do the work. We make those offensive line. We just want them tough, be mean, be aggressive, keep getting better at that every single week. We want those guys to be bullies eventually, and be we always tell them within the whistles, be abusive out there. Be mean, be tough guys. So really, that's what we practice on every week. Coach Madonna and Coach B, Coach Bynum's another one of our offensive line coaches. They do a great job of putting them on the sleds and putting them in the chutes and putting them on the boards. We got all kinds of toys for them down there that the offensive line are working on every single day. And I've told you before, the offensive line gets more individual than anybody else on the football field, because there's a lot of times where, if you're out there throwing the ball around, they'll be doing pass pro down, and then, if we're doing stuff where we don't need them in a group drill, they're down there on those boards, they're down there on the chutes. So it's fun. It's fun to watch what these guys do with them.
And now I should probably ask you, Coach Madonna, obviously, there's the battle of getting under the pads,
right?
But you can't hold, So where's the fine line that you see, that hey, the ref's going to let you get a little bit here, but is it the jersey pull or is it the?
Yeah, it's anything that's extended from the body. So as long as you're within the frame of the body, you're typically okay. As long as your feet are running, you're typically okay. It's when your feet stop and they keep moving, you get outside the frame of your body. That's typically where the holding penalties come from, which we've been pretty decent about that so far this year. We had one crucial one last Friday that put us in a bad situation, but for the most part, our kids have a pretty good understanding of where their hand placement needs to be, and if they focus on what we emphasize with keeping their feet running, we're typically okay in that department.
That way you're able to move with the block. You're not getting on your heels.
Yeah, because it's when that separation happens and my hand's outside the framework of my body, that's typically, it's easy for the officials to see then that it's a holding call. So,
man, it's a tricky game up there. Yeah,
it is.
And now, do they at all still check jerseys? I know they do in the NFL for putting some kind of slickness on there.
Grease.
Yeah, grease in your jerseys, or
not really. They do check the equipment. They're making a big emphasis on that this week, or not this week, this year, making sure that kids are properly equipped. That has to be hard goods. You can't have stitched in knee pads or stitched in thigh pads. It has to be something hard. So, and it's been a point of emphasis for the officials this year.
Man, I remember pulling them side pads out and everything else. Just maybe get lighter. Okay, A couple other things I want to touch about. We talked about the volleyball ones last week, but the Dell City Eagles softball media guy got one of those too for those ladies. So very cool there.
Yeah.
And of course the fast pitch, slow pitch, all the now what are we in right now?
We're fast pitch.
Fast pitch
in
right
Oklahoma, fast pitch softball is during fall.
Okay, yeah.
It's different for me because in Texas it's in the spring.
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
I used to run around with a lot of softball players in high school. You watch out for that bunch there, guys. I'm just going to tell you. Some other things we want to mention that they got going on. Any other happenings here at DC that we want to mention?
We got volleyball. We got the middle school conference tournament coming up this weekend. We've got our high school program. They're going to be starting their conference stuff. I mean, they're about 2.5 weeks out from playoffs, from regionals. So we're excited to see what they can do. They've been getting better. They won one of their games here recently, just a couple days ago. That's been a fun group to watch, just because you can see the girls coming together. And they've been down a little bit in the last couple of years, and we got a new coach, and she's come in and she's tried to change some things. She's tried to make it more of a family, and you can see it starting to come together. So it's been fun to watch. Softball, they're working hard. Coach Hammer does a really good job with the girls. We got a couple. Coach Love, she does a really good job as his assistant. Coach Fowler, and then we've got Coach Burbank, who she played here. She was the first softball player from Del City to go get a Division I scholarship.
Oh wow! That's
yeah,
great.
So she went to Oklahoma, played for some really good teams at the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah,
back in the early '90s. So
they've been all right there for a while.
I think Patty might have been an assistant. Coach Gasso was an assistant, maybe the head coach her last year. I can't remember, but she's got a great relationship with Coach Gasso and the coaches there in Norman. So it's been fun to watch her work. It's been really cool.
Well, that's definitely a bonus. All right, a quick overtime question round before we wind it up here. Coach Dunn, 3 bands or music artists that either from kid to now that you just can't quit.
Oh man, I don't know. That's tough. I listen to a lot of different music.
You're getting this question next, so you might start pining away on that.
I don't know. Radiohead's been one of the ones I've really liked my whole life, and anything they put out, I get into it pretty good. Who else? One of the newer bands, Parquet Courts, is a newer band that I've been listening to a lot. There are a couple guys out in North Texas that I knew. And they're in that band. They're in New York now, but that's another one I really like right now. Jason Isbell, he's kind of a singer-songwriter. He's actually coming to the Criterion here in a couple weeks, so kind of looking forward to seeing that one. But I don't know. I'm all over the place with the music. That'd be a whole other show.
There we go. Well, we'll record that one soon. Now, how about you there, Jason?
I don't even know if I can name 3 bands or artists. I'm not a big music guy. I listen to a lot of talk radio. But
there you go.
A funny, interesting is I grew up listening to what my dad listened to. So I actually grew up listening to the Beach Boys a lot, like old stuff like that. So I couldn't even name the artist, but that old time rock and roll stuff, I still kind of like that. I listen to a little bit of everything. Just whatever's on the radio is good for me.
I got you.
Sloop John B.
Well, we appreciate you joining us today there, Coach Madonna, and working with the Hogs. That those big guys helping our guys score. The most thankless job in all of football.
The unsung heroes. Yep.
Well, for Brad Reed running the technicals over there, and myself, Cody Sparks, head coach Mike Dunn, and offensive line coach Jason Madonna, we want to thank you for tuning in to our weekly coaches show here for Del City Eagle on Eagle Vision. We'll see you next time. Be out there this Friday at 7 p.m. as Altus comes to town to Robert Kalsu Stadium here in Del City, America. We'll see you there.
White out. Bring your white.